On the Supposed Right to Lie from Benevolent Motives by Immanuel Kant. In the work called France for the year 1797, Part 6, Number 1, on Political Reactions by Benjamin Constant, the following passage occurs, page 123. Quote, "The moral principle that it is one's duty to speak the truth, if it were taken singly and unconditionally, would make all society impossible. We have the proof of this in the very direct consequences which have been drawn from this principle by a German philosopher, who goes so far as to affirm that to tell a falsehood to a murderer who asked us whether our friend, of whom he was in pursuit, had not taken refuge in our house, would be a crime." End quote. The French philosopher opposes this principle in the following manner, page 124. Quote, "It is a duty to tell the truth. The notion of duty is inseparable from the notion of right. A duty is what in one being corresponds to the right of another. Where there are no rights there are no duties. To tell the truth, then, is a duty, but only towards him who has a right to the truth. But no man has a right to a truth that injures others." End quote. The Proton pseudos here lies in the statement that to tell the truth is a duty, but only towards him who has a right to the truth. It is to be remarked, first, that the expression to have a right to the truth is unmeaning. We should rather say, a man has a right to his own truthfulness, veracitas, that is, to subjective truth in his own person. For to have a right objectively to truth would mean that, as in meum and tuum generally, it depends on his will whether a given statement shall be true or false, which would produce a singular logic. Now the first question is whether a man, in cases where he cannot avoid answering yes or no, has the right to be untruthful. The second question is whether, in order to prevent a misdeed that threatens him or someone else, he is not actually bound to be untruthful in a certain statement to which an unjust compulsion forces him. Truth in utterances that cannot be avoided is a formal duty of a man to everyone, however great the disadvantage that may arise from it to him or any other. And although by making a false statement I do no wrong to him who unjustly compels me to speak, yet I do wrong to men in general in the most essential point of duty, so that it may be called a lie, though not in the jurist's sense. That is, so far as in me lies, I cause that declarations in general find no credit, and hence that all rights founded on contract should lose their force, and this is a wrong which is done to mankind. If, then, we define a lie merely as an intentionally false declaration towards another man, we need not add that it must injure another, as the jurists think proper to put in their definition, mendacium est falsiloquium in proiodicium alterios. For it always injures another, if not another individual, yet mankind generally, since it vitiates the source of justice. This benevolent lie may, however, by accident, casus, become punishable even by civil laws, and that which escapes liability to punishment only by accident may be condemned as a wrong even by external laws. For instance, if you have by a lie hindered a man who is even now planning a murder, you are legally responsible for all the consequences. But if you have strictly adhered to the truth, public justice can find no fault with you, be the unforeseen consequence what it may. It is possible that whilst you have honestly answered yes to the murderer's question, whether his intended victim is in the house, the latter may have gone out unobserved, and so not have come in the way of the murderer, and the deed therefore have not been done. Whereas, if you lied and said he was not in the house, and he had really gone out, though unknown to you, so that the murderer met him as he went, and executed his purpose on him, then you might with justice be accused as the cause of his death. For, if you had spoken the truth as well as you knew it, perhaps the murderer, while seeking for his enemy in the house, might have been caught by neighbours coming up, and the deed been prevented. Whoever then tells a lie, however good his intentions may be, must answer for the consequences of it, even before the civil tribunal, and must pay the penalty for them, however unforeseen they may have been, because truthfulness is a duty that must be regarded as the basis of all duties founded on contract, the laws of which would be rendered uncertain and useless if even the least exception to them were admitted. To be truthful, honest, in all declarations, is therefore a sacred unconditional command of reason, and not to be limited by any expediency.